Pairing.
Alright, welcome back, Lelanders. To a little bit more information, a new episode, our yearly update for the gravity well research or the ley lines, whatever you'd like to call it. I figure I should call it ley lines more often. I know some people are already calling my work ley lines, so I figure I might as well. Can't really fight it. My name is Leyland after all, so I really shouldn't try to fight it. So anyways, let's boot up Google and see what we got here. Now for today's episode, I figure what I do is I go through the updates on my slides. It's basically a summary of all the best slides that I had for the year and take a look at the map, see what work I've done on it. To be fair, I don't think in the year I did much work on it at all. Maybe just, I don't know, 10 hours a few times. And I find lately when I work on the map, I just kind of binge work on it. Where I'll work, hey, Steadfast, how's it going? Where sometimes I'll get into like a groove and I'll work on updating the map and I'll work on it for like 10, 12 hours straight. And then I get all burnt out from working on it and quit working on it for a few weeks, sometimes even months. So there has been, oh yeah, I got earthquake set because that's what I was checking to see where the latest earthquakes have been. It's interesting, this little section in here, it's quite a bit, I think there's island chain through here, or is it just all fractures? So, oh yeah, China had their earthquake. It was kind of interesting. Guess we've had a bunch off the west coast there. It's kind of interesting. I really wish that my ley line map would have correlated with that line exactly. That would have been nice. Let me check just to see where the red one goes. No, the red one doesn't either. Pretty close though. No, it kind of feels like the red one is that line there. And for some reason it just veers off to the side there. It's weird. Now, and I was thinking my goals for 2022. So one of the things I'd like to do is find someone who's an actual professional for Google Earth, like Google Earth Pro, the software that this map is drawn with. I want to put like a job ad out there to hire someone who's a professional who could redraw this map, knowing how to draw it as a professional, so that they can do it even better than I can. Ah, so that one there. Because as you can see, when you check up the center point for each line, some of these should all be intersecting perfectly at the center points. Some of them are, a lot of them are off. If anyone's wondering what this one is, the black circle on around that center point, can anyone guess what it is? Just by looking at the US on a weird angle, it's hard to tell, eh? Let me take the red lines off so it's a little bit less clusterfucked. Yeah, so it's neat. If you take the whole pyramid of like the continent on that angle and face it up looking at the Great Lakes, and then you look at the different halfway points, because this yellow line is the center point. One is the Gulf of California. The other one, what is that? Let me just double check. Gulf, Gulf. So it'd be there. Oh, that's British Columbia, Fraser Lake, Burns Lake. So anyways, let's go back to the quiz question. What is the black center point that makes up that main center point on the grid line? Can anyone guess? I gotta check again to make sure, but I'm pretty sure. I think it's, oh yeah, Mount Rushmore. Let's check if it's Mount Rushmore. Yeah, Black Hills National Forest, Deadwood. Let's just type it in here, make sure. Yeah, Mount Rushmore. It says Memorial or Mount Rushmore. Oh yeah, there it is, Mount Rushmore. So it's a little bit off the center, but not by much. Basically, this mountain chain that Mount Rushmore is a part of, it's centered right around that center point. And if anyone can guess why, I don't know why, but... Now when you look at it, the map on this angle, you can see that, yeah, that makes sense that the ore point is there. It's pushed away all the land. Here it makes sense. It pushed away all the land. Here it kind of makes sense because it pushed away some of the land, but it seems like it's having issues, right? Like, I don't know what it is about the Great Lakes. When it tried to push the land away there, maybe it's because it's so rocky. That could be it. But it never made it very deep in every spot. So yeah, sure, the lakes themselves got pushed deep, but surrounding areas of it, like this is a lot of the world's best, what is it, copper mines and stuff. So maybe it's because there's so much copper here that it wasn't able to push it any deeper. And the one that's really fucked is, why is this one so off center, right? Like you can tell this used to be the center point where it got pushed away, but how the fuck did it get moved off so off centered? It'd be neat to like look into the history of the planet and see like what happened that it got shifted off so much. And it's neat that there's this huge circle point here, almost illustrating that this thing used to be closer to here. For some reason it shifted. The only thing I can think of that is maybe if the planet's size changed, then all of a sudden it would shift, because now halfway to there would be a different point, so it would shift. But if that was true, then why wouldn't this would be so centered still? Now I was thinking, coincidentally, if you counted each major gravity well on the center point line, how many of them are actually even on land? Like this one pushed away the land, that one, that one, that one, that one. The only one that really didn't is the very bottom pole. Even this one, you can see how it like cut the continent right there. That one pushed it away. Even the India one pushed away half of India and Southeast Asia. This one tried to push its way all the way down to the fucking water, but it only got to desert, eh? So some people probably wonder why there's a fucking giant desert here. And then if you look and it's the center point of the gravity well, kind of makes more sense. This one, it looks like it did push to the water, but same thing, not very deep. It's got all these big lakes and stuff and a circle around it. Oh yeah, and here's the other earthquake. That's what I was thinking, how we get talking about this. It was all the new earthquake points. So China had some earthquakes. Let's check out where those ones were. Oh yeah, it was on this line. So if anyone heard about the big Chinese quake, it was right on the border of this mountain chain with this line. So realistically, I bet you this line is a hair off. It probably should be down a bit. Although it does line up with those ones. The Philippine earthquakes. So I don't know if anyone's wondering my predictions for 2022 as far as the map goes. If I had to guess, more of the earthquakes are going to occur on the lines. Man, look at that cluster. That's a pretty good one. Scientists must have a weird way of like looking at the earthquakes. Eh? They have no map that's showing where all the gravity well points are. So like, why are all these earthquakes occurring here? Yeah, so this is the Hawaii earthquake point, eh? Oh yeah, I have the volcanoes turned on too. If anyone's wondering what these red dots or triangles are, those are volcanoes. Figure I turn them on, check out how it's going. Yeah, like look at all the volcanic activity where those fucking lines intersect, eh? It's fucking crazy. It's a huge plot of it. Now everyone's wondering where the next big earthquake is going to be. So if I had to guess, we're overdue for a couple of them. Not to say that this will be the year, but in the coming years. You can see the Greece side is going pretty active, but there's the other half of it that does, and occasionally it goes here by Romania. So if I had to guess, the Romania side is going to balance out with it at some point. Who knows when. So usually this gravity well chain in here, it will get hit. If anyone's wondering why I'm making that prediction, let's show the ancient quakes. Ah, there it is. So you can see whereabouts in Romania that I'm talking about. It's weird how the gravity well point seems to be right there, but it gets hit right at the top where the lines are meeting now. So if I had to guess, yeah, another earthquake probably around somewhere around this point where the lines intersect. But who knows? Like you can see how often they happen. It's not very often. 86, 77, 1940, 1990. I don't know if anyone can judge how many years apart that is. So, yeah, that's what I'm thinking for earthquakes for 2022. Possibility is around that area. Right around there. Where else? I guess, yeah, the big discovery in 2021, I should summarize some of those, is I did get the, whatchamacallit, the impact crater database from the government resources. So that's when I was able to determine that the gravity well point at Africa that my map had pinpointed, it appears to be correct because there's a fucking giant crater that's centered right around it. And it's one of the biggest craters, and it's in red. And if anyone doesn't know why it's in red, I guess you can't really see it there. But it says that red means it's a giant crater, but it wasn't created by an asteroid. So they're trying to figure out what the hell created such a giant crater if it isn't an asteroid. So scientists are still trying to figure that out. So I was thinking that's one of the best points of evidence I have for my gravity well map yet. And I just discovered it in 2021. So if I had to summarize the best apex of the year, that was the biggest discovery. Well, maybe that and a couple other ones with the space files. I guess we should cover that today. Oh yeah, so you can see the different volcanoes. They often land on the lines. Now obviously all these big craters don't line up, and I was thinking what it is, the same thing. I bet you the planet has shifted slightly. So maybe some of these used to be right in the center, but they've shifted slightly. But the only evidence against that would be that this one is still dead center. So I don't know why some shift and why others would stay dead center. I'm not an expert at the way the crust shifts, so I don't know. It is very interesting why some parts shift and why others don't. Yeah, so that impact crater database, that was one of my favorites. Alright, so the other thing that we did in 2021, yeah, I think it was 2021. It's weird when you summarize the year, right? It's like you don't even remember what you all did. Yeah, so this was the year that I finally started to get better at collecting the different planet databases. So now I can look at like Mars and other moons and parts of our solar system, see how they interact. So I got to turn off the earthquakes and volcanoes for this because they do not apply to. I'll have to get entire new layers for those. Why is it not loading? It's kind of fucking annoying. Oh, I know what it is. I got the wrong file loading. Now the thing with my computer is I put a couple different copies of Mars. So really I can load a bunch of different Mars layers. And that one's too much data, so I'm not going to use that one. Ah, here it is, Mars topography. So if anyone's wondering why the colors are different on this, it shows the different depth. So where it's really deep, like below sea level, is blue, and where it's high mountains is red and orange. So yeah, I think red is the tallest mountains. So eventually what you would do is if you took water and you put it on Mars, like just flooded the planet, this is where all the oceans would be, where the blue is. It's neat how they have a giant one right there. And it's so close to the South Pole. I bet you this would be a fucking frozen lake. Or maybe not. Yeah, it'd be weird, eh? If Earth had a fucking giant lake right next to the fucking South Pole, would it freeze? Probably, eh? Alright, so the biggest discovery with Mars came to this part of the planet. And that's what I realized when I had the other guest on the talk show or podcast. We discussed the sacrifice line, and then that's when I started to realize that's why these lines are considered sacrifice lines, because they go through volcanoes in a lot of cases. No better example than on Mars. And the fucked up part, this line going connecting all these volcanoes on Mars, when you flip back and forth between Earth and Mars, it correlates with the line on Earth, right? This one. Can anyone guess what sacrifice occurred on this line? The biggest one on Mars? Why doesn't it reach all the way? It's kind of weird. Well, anyways, if you check, let me turn off the yellow or blue. So you can see this line is basically the one that runs parallel with this line. And what line is this one? The September 11th attack line. This is the one where all the attacks for the September 11th occurred. The Boston airport, the trade centers, and Washington, the Pentagon. And oh yeah, this one does. It goes all the way to Mexico. So I was thinking this one's supposed to go all the way to Stonehenge. I don't know why it doesn't. Let me just finish that now, because it's kind of annoying the fuck out of me. So I'm like, man, let's just correct it instead of being pissed about it. Alright, I'll have to try to put that back where it was. Now what I have to do is draw the other one on Stonehenge. So I'll have to try to remember where the fuck Stonehenge is. It's... see if I can use this or it won't allow me. Oh, there it is, luckily. Oh, there it is. So now I don't have to be pissed about it not being right. I can just be like, fuck it, man, now it is. I don't have to be bitching, just fix it. Alright, so does anyone see the airport? Oh, there it is. So I'll put it there, somewhere in the airport. So if anyone was wondering, that's one of the big discoveries thanks to one of the guests that came on the show. He shared the September 11th attack line. And then I got to compare it with the ley line map, and I'm like, yeah, that's definitely one of the ones. Oh yeah, that's what I can show you. If you go to, what did I do? Where is it? Ah, here it is. Oh, it's the black line. Alright. So what I did this year, that's what was funny, I forgot. I started to recreate the Freemason version of this map. Or that's what I like to call it, or the ancient map version. Because the Freemasons tend to go with the more ancient version. So what you can see is the map that's in, let's take yellow off for now. So this is the ancient version, the one that goes with what the Freemasons built and aligned all the cities to. Like if you look at this, it aligns with the CN Tower, London, Kingston, Ottawa. And the reason Ottawa is we got the obelisk, the Peace Tower runs through there. Toronto's the obelisk of the CN Tower. London, Philadelphia, Washington. Oh yeah, Washington's the obelisk at whatchamacallit in Washington, whatever it's called. So yeah, this is the ancient line that the Freemasons build around. And then you can see that the green and the black for that line, this is the September 11th attack line. So you can see the sacrifice line isn't identically on the ancient line, but it's fucking damn close, right? Like, look at comparing those two. It's almost directly overlapping. So as much as they could get it to overlap, they did, basically. So anyways, yeah, if we turn off the September 11th line, let's see. So we got that black line, and then we compare it to today's modern map, like the one where the lines are actually drawn out if you didn't go by the ancient one and you went by how it actually is today. Let's see, which one is it? Blue? No, it is yellow. So let's turn all the layers off except for black. So you can see that's where the difference comes. If people are wondering how close that sacrifice line, that's the black one that the Freemasons use. And then this yellow one is the one that lines up with planets today. So you can see it's almost the same line. It overlaps in some points. But it's slightly a wobble to it, eh? Like it does have like a distance between the two in some points. But anyways, that's how, if we went to Mars and compared it, this is the line that connects to the sacrifice line. And then that's the one that runs through Mars. Let's check it out. So this line here. Yeah, I was just going to say big shout out to the viewers who have been watching the Gravity Well episodes in the archive. People have been messaging me in the private chat asking me when the next one's coming out, so figured I should do a little year summary. Fuck, man, I wish I gotta title this Mars one so it's easier to find. Volcanoes, I'll close that. Fuck, man, why can't I see it anymore? Oh, there it is, National Hurricane. Oh, here it is, Mars Topography. That's what's fucked up. The folder's all open. So anyways, yeah, there it is. Let's shift back and forth so we can see. The sacrifice line that connects the September 11th attacks is the same one that connects the volcanoes on Mars. So if anyone's wondering about the volcano sacrifice connection, yeah, that's what I was going to summarize for this year too. So if anyone's wondering what's the big deal with all these sacrifices on the lines, what are people trying to do these days, like the occultists or the people in charge, or the people that are just part of like the creator's plan, however you want to look at it. What I was thinking is they keep talking about Beetlejuice. So let's open Beetlejuice. So, yeah, I think I got it over here. Yeah, if anyone's heard, Beetlejuice has been on the news a lot lately. And if anyone knows, it's not the cartoon character Beetlejuice, or the guy from the movies, the comedy guy. I wish it was. I used to watch Beetlejuice actually when I was a kid. I always wondered what the hell they were talking about with the Beetlejuice shit. So if anyone hasn't heard, there's this giant sacrifice ritual that's in the sky. They call it the A to Z legend. It's the one that all the ancient religions are based on, the paganism or whatever. The one with sacrifice. So anyways, the sacrifice that they had to do was the ox sacrifice. Why? Because it's part of the stars and all that shit. I don't know all the finer details. But anyways, part of the star pattern happened to be Beetlejuice. And Beetlejuice is all over the news this year. So what the occultists were trying to do is they were publishing articles, or people inadvertently did it for them. Anyways, saying that Beetlejuice is going supernova. They have all the evidence to show that it's happening, but the catch to it is that they're going to be watching it real time, and it's supposed to go brighter than the moon. So I forget how much. I think they said like 10 times brighter than the moon, or some ridiculous amount like that. So I was thinking, dear God, man, like, can you imagine that actually happens? Beetlejuice goes supernova. And then I forgot that all these gravity well maps that we show, they have connections to sacrifice with these like lines and stuff. And usually that's how it went. In the old days, they always associated different sacrifice patterns with big events that were occurring. So I started to realize, I'm like, wait a minute. How come all of a sudden we're talking about all these fucking Beetlejuice stuff on the news? Why did they think this is the year that Beetlejuice is bound to go supernova? Do they have some sort of sacrifice clue? Then I realized that that's this. The Taurus, the bull, or the ox, or the metal ox. So it turned out this was the year of the metal ox. So that's why they thought this was the year of sacrifice that was going to trigger Beetlejuice. So anyone's guess of what sacrifice they did throughout the past year or whatever to try to trigger the Beetlejuice supernova. But I think that's what this ley line and all the Beetlejuice talk and the year of the metal ox. I guess it's connecting a lot of things that probably aren't connected, but that's just how I'm looking at it. It's kind of a weird take. But yeah, so if anyone's wondering, yeah, like what we got going on with this sacrifice thing and in the today's news for 2021. If anyone's wondering, the year of the ox sacrifice, I think it ends in February or something. I'd have to check. If anyone knows when the Chinese New Year date is, I'll have to check. Let's look it up. Let's just ask Google. When is the Chinese New Year? Yeah, this year it's Tuesday, February the 1st, and we're going into the year of the tiger. Tiger! So anyone who liked me saying tiger before, I guess I'll be using it a lot more soon. Tiger year. Tiger year. Yeah, so that's pretty interesting. All that year, sacrifice stuff, learning about Mars, it all kind of occurred at the good timing. It's weird. It's like it was almost destined for me to learn about Mars, sacrifice shit during the year of sacrifice. Now, some people could argue that this volcano is slightly off. It should be right in the center of this. The only thing I was thinking, maybe that's the planet shift thing again. And when you look at it, it's not really off by that much. Like, fuck, man. To think I'm taking maps that I drew on Earth and scaling them to a different planet, and I got it that close. That's pretty close already. And who knows, I probably just fucked up when I was drawing it. So that's why it's off by that much, because that's how much I fucked it up by. Now, I was kind of hoping this one would have been right in the center there, but nah. Now, I kind of like, you know how India and Southeast Asia, they divide on one of these points? I kind of liked how Mars did that there, too. This is like the India and Southeast Asia of Mars. Oh yeah, and the other thing, that was what I was getting to. I know there was one other thing I was trying to remember. The plans for 2022 is this is the year that we're having guests on the show that are experts in the electric universe theory. And people might be thinking, oh, that's kind of neat, but what the hell does it have to do with gravity wells and all this? I've always had a theory, well, it's not even just my theory, it's part of science in general, is that every philosophy or science, it weaves together like a woven fabric. How everything connects and intertwines with each other. So when you get things like electricity, they connect to gravity or they connect to light. There's all these different ways and all these formulas in math and in physics, they all interweave and connect. So that's what I was thinking, the electric universe theory, one of the biggest ones they have as components to prove that their theory is correct, is that they believe the electric universe is causing these giant rips. Like the canyons or the, what do they call them, chasms. Yeah, that's what it is. Chasms or ridges, ocean ridges and stuff. So that's what they're always saying, is it's the electric universe, electric universe. So that's what I was noticing, is when it came time to my gravity well maps, a lot of the times, like if we flip back and forth between Mars and Earth, you can see these giant chasms or ocean ridges. They line up with the lines of the gravity wells. So that's what I was thinking. If the electric universe theory people are convinced that it's the electricity, that'd be one of the things that links the electricity to the gravity well pattern. Like sort of how all the fabrics and everything intertwine. So that's how I was like, yeah, it's going to be wild to hear the electric universe guys on the show. I definitely got a lot of questions for them. Should be pretty interesting. So yeah, so just like looking at Mars and the other planets and moons, that's when I started to realize a lot of these chasms are always lining up. Oh yeah, that's what I was going to show you, Mars. See, this giant chasm here, if anyone doesn't know what this is the Amazon fucking river. So when it created it on Mars, it created this giant chasm. And on Earth, it created the fucking giant Amazon river. And then if you look at the other ones that are coming in from that direction, on Earth, that's the fucking giant hole for whatever that is, the Panama Canal, I guess. So it's kind of fucked up how similar the formations are. So if there's a connection that's saying that electricity is causing these points to connect, that'd be like, well, yeah, electricity and gravity, we might have a link between the two that will be forming on the show this year. I know that's a pretty ambitious prediction to think that we're going to solve gravity just by having guests on the show, but we'll see. You never know, right? So yeah, the other things that we started getting into, I guess we'll cover some more of just the general slides, because we do got a couple slides to cover. So let's go check out the slides. Be right back. Ah, there we go. Ah, we got them open already. Sweet. Alright, so for during the year, I started to look at 8th Dimensional Hypercubes by Tom Ruin. Someone recommended his work. And I started to compare them to how my patterns are coming out. And I was like, yeah, could be something to do with that as well. I know it's a little bit of a stretch, but I don't know, if you break down this pattern that he has and make it a little bit more simplistic, like take out half the layers, take out half the layers again, I bet you it would start to come down to a formula similar to this one. Could be wrong, but we'll see. Oh yeah, that's where I was talking about the different waves and how every math of light, gravity, and electricity can all interconnect. 3, 6, 9. Yeah, that was just some of the work showing how storms and everything go around the gravity wells. That's kind of an old one. Oh yeah, the Black Hills point. I wanted to show that, what was it, Mount Rushmore? How it was one of the points on the map. These other 2 points are the earthquake points. If anyone doesn't know, you get swarms around Oklahoma, and this one, the New Madrid. So obviously they're not as often, but when the New Madrid goes, it should be somewhere around the Blue Ridge Mountains, I'm thinking, if I had to guess. Yeah, and that was the difference when Julie Ryder was showing me the ancient pattern, and I drew it in purple, and then I drew the modern map and had it in blue, and then I took the ancient and modern and laid the 2 maps over each other. I was very disappointed and happy at the same time, because I was like, fuck man, it doesn't match. But I was like, fuck man, it's so close to matching, it's almost weird, right? Like, what the fuck? So that's what I was thinking, as much as my map is weird and it doesn't line up, it's close enough to lining up that I think there's some sort of connection. Or it could just be a coincidence, but fuck, can you imagine? So if anyone's wondering what these purple lines are, this is the purple line in this direction, is the one that connects, what is that place called? Nazca Lines to the Great Pyramids and Angkor Wat and couple other places, and wraps all the way back to Easter Island. And this one here is the one that connects the ancient sites in Canada, and this one here is the one that connects all these places, Tikal, Baskarong, or whatever, and the Montana megaliths and the Nazca Lines. And there's a whole movie about that if anyone wants to check it out. That's another thing. I actually picked up the DVD for it this year. Where the fuck did I put the DVD? Ah, there it is. Revelations of the Pyramids. So that's the one I picked up if anyone wants to check it out. It talks about all the patterns for this purple line pattern. Yeah, and that purple line pattern, it's really good. There's a lot of people that make fun of it and shit, but I think it's pretty accurate. Not that I'm biased or anything. Alright, so yeah, and then I think it was either this year or last year that I realized that the ley line pattern was essentially the tree of life, or the world tree that all the ancient cultures like to talk about. And when I put the 2 together, obviously there is some differences about where these orb points are connecting and stuff, but it was close enough that I figured, hey, I should make the comparison. And to be fair, each world tree that each culture drew is very similar to this, but each one is a different pattern slightly. So that's what I was thinking. Even though these are just slightly different patterns, it doesn't mean that they're not connected. I think they very well still could be connected. It's just that we got the pattern slightly different. But yeah, if it ever came to a world tree and everyone's like, hey, what the fuck does the world tree mean? I think this is the closest we have to understanding the world tree. Not to brag or anything, but I think it's, when I compare what people have gave as examples of where they think the world tree is, obviously this pattern repeats throughout the globe in many locations. So it isn't just the world tree here. There's one on the opposite side there. It repeats again over here and over there. So there's lots of world trees, but I'm just thinking the math pattern in general for the world tree, I think we're getting pretty damn close. And this is what kind of freaked me out when I realized that we're running into some serious problems with this gravity well research and world trees. Because I'm pretty sure, like, if anyone's heard of Star Trek and the, what is it called, the holodeck, and how they have the arch, I think once you start getting to the very basics of this world tree technology, you're starting to get to the how the universe actually functions. And I think it's very dangerous technology. You know, every technology has a new danger. Sort of like if you invent a nuclear technology, all of a sudden you can make an A-bomb. So that's what I was thinking, if we all of a sudden get the technology for this world tree stuff, we're probably going to end up having the potential to create a weapon that could destroy the entire planet. Or who knows, maybe even the universe. So yeah, that's, I guess it's kind of like a Pandora's box. It kind of sucks that we've got this new technology that has so much danger potential, but hopefully it has some sort of good potential too, so it won't just be a complete nightmare. At least we'll get something good out of it, let's hope. Horrible, horrible nightmare. I shouldn't laugh about it. I just sort of always figure, like, I'm probably so way off the mark that none of it's even true anyway, so I try not to get too freaked out about it. Alright, so yeah, this was the elephant's eye, I realized. We'll get into that some other time, I guess. Oh yeah, and then this was the year that I realized the Easter Island statues and the ones in Russia and the ones in Canada are all on their own ley line. So that's what I was thinking. It's kind of funny that there's like a ley line for gold. There's a ley line for these giant fucking stone statues. It's weird. Well, it makes kind of sense in a way. Each ley line would have its own special property. Can't remember what this was. If this was some sort of pattern for gravity wells, can't remember. Oh yeah, and this is when I started to compare the other planets this year. So I got the moons of Europa, or what is it? Yeah, the moons of Jupiter. One of them's called Europa. And then I started to see the ice cracks are actually lining up with the major ley line patterns. But this one is very obscure because you could just say there's so many lines on both that you're bound to eventually get some of them overlapping. But still, I think some of it's neat enough that it was worth sharing. Oh yeah, this was one of the slides I made today. Or not today, this year. Or last year. Fuck, can I say anything right? Is, you know how I was checking the ley lines and how they carve the planet? And it makes these like triangle patterns. I was thinking, yeah, where have I seen these like triangle patterns that it rips into stuff before? And then the equinox day came up, and then I remembered that it makes the steps of the pyramids. And then I remembered that it makes that triangle cut again. So it's like almost the idea that the technology, that's where it really hit me, is when you're building one of these pyramids and you want it to have these shapes of like shadows and make triangles and steps on the equinox, you need to know where and when. And in order to determine those dates, you need a map, right? A map that'll show you when and where. And guess what map it is that shows you when and where? It's this one. This is the map that maps all the equinox dates and the shadows and which day and time and location. So if you wanted to build these steps with the pyramid, you would need this map. So that's why it was kind of funny. I was thinking, could it be the ancients actually had this version of the map? I highly doubt it, but oh yeah, and then it reminded me too, the map itself ends up carving these triangle patterns into the continents. And it's the same triangle carving pattern that results in the shadows from the step pyramid, ironically. So I thought that was kind of a neat discovery this year. I don't know, it's probably completely unrelated and these triangles are just a coincidence, but who knows? I figured it was worth noting. Could be. Oh yeah, there was the Mars sacrifice mystery. We'd already covered that. Yeah, and I have to say the Mars, when it lined up like that, that was probably one of my favorite discoveries with the gravity well map. Because a lot of times I was doing it and I was like, you know what? How it maps out the continent and stuff, that's kind of neat. I was like, yeah, that's probably the best. But then when it came to the Mars thing, I was like, holy fuck, man, how it lines up with Mars and shit, that's even cooler. Well, just in my regard, I think. Oh yeah, this is just summarizing. This is an idea of what the academics, well, not all of them, but some of them believe this is what Earth used to look like before it got smashed up and changed shape. And I always thought that was neat because it lines up with my gravity well map pretty clearly, but I thought that was in the next slide coming up, but we'll go to something else. Oh yeah, what did they do? They released pictures of one of the moons of Jupiter, and then I compared it to the moon of Earth, and I realized not only does it have the same gravity well pattern with lines splitting out from it, but the giant crater that's off to the side of it is in the same position on Earth's moon and Jupiter's moon. And this giant crater here that's on Earth, this is the biggest one in the solar system. So they're trying to figure out what the fuck caused this giant fucking crater. So I was thinking maybe we could study the one on Jupiter in relation to it and try to figure it out. Be like, hey, maybe that's what caused it. Because if we see it happening on multiple moons, isn't that fucked how it left like a bullet pattern, like a bullseye, and then spikes coming out? Like 3 spikes. And then a bullet pattern with 3 spikes coming out. Giant crater. I don't know. To me, that was one of the ones when I published it on the Electric Universe page. They're like, holy fuck, man, that's pretty wild. Like, maybe this is the proof for the Electric Universe theory they were looking for. That's what I was thinking. Maybe it is. I don't know. I guess we can't cover this one too much. But this one is just the pattern from some India stuff in Tibet. This is definitely not the German symbol we're looking at here. This is the Tibet one. And that was at Mount Kailash. And it had some talking about how that was related to the mountain. Definitely not the German stuff. Alright, so anyways, here we got the gravity well. Oh yeah, for the North Pole. Hey, Love HD, welcome back to the chat. Try to keep your clothes on. Oh yeah, here it is, where we show the North Pole and how it used to look. So you can see even the academics and how we think it used to look, or at least the gravity well researchers. It's very, very similar, just the academics and ours. Yeah, and if anyone's wondering the different problems I'm having with the gravity well map and why I want to hire someone at Google to draw it for me, it's because technically the gravity well patterns, they're supposed to come into points like this. And you can see even here, he couldn't even get it to actually line up directly on the map perfectly. Like when you're making these, just one little hair mistake over here will make it a hair off over here, right? So it's so hard to get all these lines to match up perfectly. But yeah, you can see like this one, it's supposed to intersect here. But he didn't. It intersected a little bit up here. This one, it did intersect there. Or a little bit lower. And this should have intersected on here. But anyways, that's what I was thinking. I want to hire someone who's really good at drawing at Google Earth, so that they could take the formula, draw it on the map, and get it as precise as possible. Because a lot of the points should end up like this pattern. It shouldn't always end up like this. But I think what I did is I tried to force all the lines to connect like these. And that's why I got weird bends in some of it. It really should be connecting like this. So if anyone knows anyone that's good at drawing at Google, it's quite the undertaking to take. But yeah, and I could definitely offer some sort of prize or payment to anyone who's willing to put in the time to fucking draw that map accurately. Because you gotta think, it's one of the biggest undertakings in mankind's history, if it's accurate, or if it turns out to be true. And if not, it's just a neat waste of time. Yeah, so this is the original map, or the best one that I've seen so far, the Perry Reese map. He's got a pretty good, accurate depiction of it. This orb and the one on my map are pretty accurately placed. These two, not so much. Some of the lines that mapped up with the Strait of Gibraltar connecting to South America, I think we have this line in common on our map. So that's one of the ones we got the same. Oh, and this is when I started to realize the sun. Yeah, this was the year when I got the sun maps and stuff. So this is where the electric universe theory stuff should be coming up as well. The electric universe theory are always trying to say that the sun is electric, and they're trying to prove it. So I was thinking if they needed extra proof to show how the patterns align symmetrically to some sort of magnetic field or electric field or gravity well field, whatever it is, maybe all of the above. So you can see that the sun actually maps up with it surprisingly accurate as well. Now the sun one, that was one of my favorite ones too. When I made that, I was like, holy fuck, man, this is even connecting to the goddamn sun. Oh yeah, and then this one is this Saturn? Yeah, I think it could be Saturn. So I started to realize like the cloud formations that we see on some of the gas giants, they're obviously going to be influenced by the gravity well fields as well. You can see a lot of cases where the cloud split happens to be on the measurement points for the field. Oh yeah, this was Antoine on his Beautiful People podcast. He likes to talk about science news, and he was talking about how science has started to realize the shape of gravity well fields on the poles of each planet, and this is how they started to draw them. So I was like, yeah, that's getting very close to what mine looks like. Oh yeah, and then we'll cover that today's episode too. We'll get back to Earth and show some of the weather, see how it's interacting with the map today. Because yeah, weather is one of the main indicators that shows how well this gravity well map works. It's not just craters, it's not just earthquakes, volcanoes, but it's also the weather. So let's go check it out. Oh yeah, and this is Venus, if anyone's wondering. I don't even know what these white lines on Venus are. I was thinking I was going to ask the electric universe theory guy. But it was neat how some of the major orb points where these lines break out seem to interact with the gravity well map pretty substantially. Yeah, so I think despite I was kind of disappointed that I didn't get much done with the gravity well maps this year, when I start to summarize all the discoveries with the different planets and suns and moons, I really shouldn't say we didn't get much done. It was a fair bit. Alright, oh yeah, then the ancient sacrifice stuff. We've definitely been learning how the planets used to have been shaped and why animals and giants and everything play a role in it. And sacrifice. And why the blood or the water coming out of the Mediterranean is so warm. It's still flowing from his neck. Oh yeah, and his tears. His tears are the Amazon River. Poor elephant. It was nice of him to sacrifice himself. Or maybe the natives did it and he wasn't willing, but... Alright, so anyways, yeah, then we got the South Pole, how it split, the whole yin-yang thing. We'll try to get some more researchers, maybe this year on the show, that can tell us more about the South Pole. Ah, that reminds me, I did briefly talk to a few researchers who are into, what is that one place called, Lumeria or something? And they're talking about how it connects to the South Pole, and this one woman I met, she actually knows all about how the pole split. And it has the different legends about what happened when the South Pole split and stuff. So yeah, that'd be quite interesting. Hopefully we can get her or someone else related topic-wise to be on the show. Alright, so yeah, that's the last one. Fuck, we ended with that. That's kind of neat. So we'll tie it back into the podcast shit. Alright, what did I all promise to talk about again? Oh yeah, the weather. Let's go to the weather. Now this weather file is a live updated weather file from the actual weather service people. So it's nothing that's old or anything I created. I wish. Yeah, some days it looks like it interacts well with the gravity well map. Other days not so much. So let's check it out, see what we got. Alright, we got a spinning cloud formation here around the central well. Got one spinning around that well. It's hard to see. Looks like that one's got a bit of formation around it. This one a bit of formation around it. The line connecting those two, it often gets clouds over it. Now I always wonder too, when the weather people do these cloud formations, they don't even have the gravity well map. So it makes them wonder, like, why do they think that it spins around spots like that? I guess they think it's like a pressure or something. Yeah, so we can see a bit of spin around that one, that one, that one. Ooh, spun off that one. Bit around that one, bit around that one, that one. Now that's what I should do too. Maybe in the future we'll try to get a weather person on. We'll ask them. We'll be like, man, what do you guys think all these circular patterns or all these spins occur with the storms? And why they tend to spin in the same spots over and over again. Yeah, so you can see not exactly everything lines up. Let's try to make it a decent size. There we go. But I think a fair bit lines up enough that you're like, hey, there's something to it, maybe. And really, this is just a live image, right? So it's not like I had time to doctor this or something. I'll just make the map fit around the clouds. Now, if anyone's wondering with the weed and how it's been going this year, I did manage last year to quit smoking weed and drinking booze for about 3 months. So it's pretty good. But I did notice a significant decline in my health as far as arthritis and mood, general, just fucking declined pretty bad. So definitely going to go back to weed and booze for some brief periods, but try to find better balance, not get carried away doing it all the time. But it has improved my arthritis significantly. Although I have been a little bit too tired lately, so I'm trying to balance it so I'm not so tired all the fucking time. No, it is kind of nice vaporizing some weed, checking out the gravity well patterns, watching the smoke or clouds go around them all. Now, I have been researching the one in Norway quite a bit. Got some friends and fans of the YouTube channel that are always from Norway. They're saying some of the people I talk, yeah, one of them even freaking super chatted. Yeah, so shout out to all the people in Norway, a lot of generous people. But anyways, there's one of them was telling me that they don't really get bad weather as far as like storms and stuff all the time. And I was thinking maybe it's just clouds there because it's already so cold that they don't have the mixture of cold and hot. It's just cold, so it doesn't result in storms. Because where I live, we get intense storms. But the main reason we're getting such intense storms here is because you're getting freezing cold air and boiling hot air, and they mix right over us. So that mixture of two different temperatures is usually what results in deadly tornadoes and shit. So that's how I was thinking Norway, even though they got that gravity well pattern right next to them, is they really don't have the hot weather to mix with. There's no fucking tropic fucking weather coming in there anywhere. There's like no Florida right here shooting in hot air. Well, I guess, yeah. Technically, this would be hot, eh? So that's like kind of surprised. God, might even be closer than Florida. Oh well, whatever. Whatever it is, Norway, lucky. Don't get a whole bunch of tornadoes. Yeah, I do like the Norway gravity well. It's quite significant. Yeah, like really, if you spin the globe onto its top and you start to see the connecting points of where the two continents used to connect, Norway was where it used to connect. Can you imagine how dangerous that would have been for North America? Because we got those Norwegian Vikings or whatever it is. They would have a land bridge going right across to North America in the same way that they have a land bridge here. So I guess we're lucky that whenever that land bridge existed, there was no people yet. Or if there was, they didn't go across. Or if they did, who knows? Yeah, the funny thing is with the flat earth research and the globe and these ley line maps, people have been telling me that if I took this map and redrew it so it was all in the flat earth map, that would actually fit better. And that was making me wonder too, because there is some spots where I draw it where I was like, fuck man, it almost seems like it would fit better if it was flat. So I don't know, like, as weird as the flat earth research is, I kind of like it because my research is also very controversial. So if someone's got some research that's even more controversial than mine, I'm like, all right, at least I don't have to be the most controversial. Yeah, what I was thinking is it's probably somewhere in between because the Earth isn't flat and it's not a perfect sphere. So the reason the map isn't fitting perfectly is because it's like a somewhat in between. It's like a pear shape or whatever. So that's why the map, as much as I'd like it to be exactly perfectly straight in every spot, you can see that some of the lines have like a slight wobble to them. So it's like, fuck man, that wobble shouldn't be there. It should just be a straight line. Like, why do I have to wobble it for it to connect properly? That's what I was thinking. If someone was really good at drawing a Google Earth, they'd be the best person to hire. Because I bet you they could draw this whole map pattern and they wouldn't have the problem, or they'd be stuck with these weird wobbles. Like, what the fuck caused that wobble? Like, some of the lines, they were easy. You could just draw it perfectly straight. Everything connects, no problem. And then other times you're like, what the fuck? Why does it have to have like a slight wobble for it to connect properly? It's annoying as fuck. That's why I'd like to just hire someone, because I don't think I'll ever actually solve the problem myself. I've already spent years trying to solve it and I'm nowhere closer. So I was like, fuck man, I should really just hire someone who knows how the fuck this shit works, and they'd have a much better chance at solving the wobbles than I would. You know what I like is turning China or Asia or whatever you call it on its side and lining it up this way. God, that's one of my favorite ways to look at the East. I like how it connects with all the main cities. I don't know, why is it not showing any of them? That was the one thing that was annoying me the other day. I was trying to see the places and labels for everything, and it's just not showing up. I'm like, what the fuck, man? Why aren't you showing the city names? You have to zoom in all the way to fucking see them now. Yeah, Beijing came close. Oh, here it is, Pyongyang. Now some of them are starting to show up. So I probably should draw another map that's like the ancient map version for Asia, because I bet you if I did, it would line up even more. Like, let's see what the ancient one looks like. We'll turn this one off for now. The ancient one's kind of fun to draw because it actually lines up really good in North America, I don't know about other parts of the world so much. Let's check it out. Yeah, so you can see I've only done a small part for the ancient one. We got this section here done for North America. So wherever it goes and overlaps in other parts of the world, I haven't really focused on much yet because it's all been focused out of there. So I guess some of Asia's already been mapped. I haven't even looked at this one, so it'd be interesting to see how many cities actually line up. Yeah, a fair bit. Oh yeah, that's what I wanted to show you guys, Angkor Wat. Angkor Wat looks kind of neat. See if I got that one on here yet. Oh, there it is. Yeah, so this is the Angkor Wat section. I was like, man, it's fucking sick how it lines up. You got that temple there. Oh yeah, and then it lines up with this temple too. This one's one of my favorite temples. Little bit with that temple. I guess that line should probably move over a little bit and connect on that. That would make more sense. It wouldn't be very much to move it. So that's how the ancient sight lines are starting to line up in Cambodia or Southeast Asia. I don't know, to me personally, like comparing the two, let's see, yellow and that. It's funny, eh? How it is substantially different. It's hard to believe that it's actually the same pattern unless you look at the blue. Yeah, it's like when you lay the blue over, then you're like, okay, now we're starting to see it is the same pattern. It's just slightly off. And the one thing I like about dealing with the blue pattern, like the modern one, is it lines up with everything as it is right now. So I don't have to calculate what it used to look like in the past or anything. You'll be like, yeah, this is just exactly how it works out right now with the way the sun and the equinox and everything calculates out as of today. So here's the old map, or that was the old map, this was the new one. I know some people make fun of me because they're like, hey, you should just draw the old one. And I'm like, well, what the fuck, man? It's way harder to draw the old one because you have to recalculate some shit that's changed. At least when I draw the new one, I don't have to deal with that. I can just draw it because we have the measurements. We don't have to guess or calculate how it used to look. Now, if anyone's wondering what are the calculations and measurements for this, if they wanted to start making it themselves, let's take off the blue. The blue, it's basically once you get one layer of the map, you just keep cutting the map in half over and over and over again. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. You go to view and grid. So what I talked about how the map is today and why that's how you can measure it, the Arctic Circle line and my line map right up. The tropic line, and my line map right up. And they line up with the center points. And the equator and my equator and that line on the equator, they line up. The tropic line, it lines up. The Antarctic Circle line. So you can start to see that a lot of the lines on my map are literally just the actual lines of drawing and splitting the planet in half and in half and in half. The only line that really didn't match up was this one because I don't think they have one for this one on the regular map. So that's one I had to calculate myself by dividing the distance between there and there in half and then plotting it there. So if anyone wants to draw the map themselves, that's all you got to do is use the actual lines, and instead of making the lines smaller each time, like you know on a traditional map, let's take away the yellow. Every time they put a new line, they make the new line smaller, except for the equator. The equator is the only one they make a full line. So what I did is I just took the measurement points for the tropics. Instead of making the line smaller, I made it a great circle line. Same ones as Perry Reese's map. What is it? Portalon charts. So anyways, that's what I did. Instead of putting a tropic line that's smaller, I drew it a full line. And then instead of making an Arctic circle line that's smaller, I made it a full circle. So that's the only thing you got to change. Just change every line. So instead of being only one equator, every line point measurement is the same as the equator, where it's a full line. What I mean by a full line is it makes a full 360 or full rotation around the globe. You can tell each one of these lines as you go up, they don't do a full rotation around the globe. They just do a part of the globe, right? They get smaller and smaller circles as they go up until they get tiny, tiny circles. So that's where our maps are different. Mine don't get smaller and smaller and smaller. Each one of mine is a full circle around the globe. Let's check it out again. Yeah, each one of these lines is a full circle around the globe. They don't get smaller and smaller. Like this is a full circle around the globe. This one's a full circle around the globe. This one's a full circle around the globe. You can see each one is a full circle, right? So it's kind of weird, eh? Remember how in electricity, if you ever took electronics class, they talked about how when electricity was invented and they started developing circuits and how to wire stuff, at the beginning, they started to wire everything in series. So if one light bulb in a circuit died, your whole house's wires would go out. And same with the Christmas tree. If one bulb died, the whole Christmas tree would die. So then eventually the electricians, they realized instead of hooking everything up in series, why don't we change how we're using the wiring and wire it up in parallel instead? So when they wired it, same circuit, same everything, they wired it differently, all of a sudden it worked better. So now if one light bulb dies, the whole circuit doesn't. So it's kind of the same philosophy. It's like when you change how you make a map, like each map type has its own purpose. If you don't want the whole map to die when one part of it goes down, you just have to use it differently. Oh, we got some more comments from the viewers. Let's see. So yeah, the viewer thinks that the Earth seems to be more convex, not concave. Yeah, I always get those words mixed up. I'll have to check that out. Says Fax and Picard. Oh, okay. Oh yeah, the plumb lines thing. Yeah, I remember hearing about the plumb lines. I think it was in one of the Eric Dubai videos or something, or someone was debunking them, something like that. Look up Michael Gibson's videos of old world info. Yeah, when it comes to the old world maps, I've been more of an expert on that more than ever. Well, I shouldn't say expert, armchair researcher, but yeah, I've been checking ancient maps a lot. Let's check out, see what kind of map research we came up with this year. Let's go with, which ones did I save? Yeah, I should have a whole fucking collection of them. Alright, let's try to find the wiki page for them though. Let's go Portalon chart.
According to Wikipedia.
See if this is the one. Is this the one? We'll go to center screen. And we'll make this bigger. That's what she said. The oldest original artifact in the Library of Congress. So when you start getting to like the oldest maps in the world, this is where you start to realize that back in the olden days is when we actually, like even our first maps were the ones that had these gravity well patterns. And for some reason, I guess it's because we didn't have the entire map of the Earth. So it made it a lot harder to draw the gravity well maps because you're only dealing with the small section. Because yeah, like when I think about drawing these maps, if I wasn't drawing the whole line around the whole globe, I don't even think I could draw it. It's the only way that makes it possible for me to draw it. So we got rum lines. Is that one of the things that we started talking about here? Or no, it was plumb lines. Plum and rum was pretty close. Oh yeah, the rose compass. That's what I was thinking in too. I started to research this a little bit more and where this whole pattern started to come from and the oldest ones and how maps started with them in the beginning and how these all connected to like ancient star patterns and stuff. So that's what I was thinking. These ancient gravity well maps, they were connected to even like star pattern knowledge and stuff. It's pretty fucking wild shit when you think about it. It gets pretty intense what we learned about it this year. Yeah, and then we get into the different stars like Ursula Minor. That one comes up in my research large. You know why? Because if you take the Ursula Minor or that dipper pattern, it's the one that makes the forbidden symbol that we were talking about in Tibet earlier in the show. So that's where that shit comes in. Ursula Major, the Pleiades. The Pleiades is the seven sisters, or part of the A to Z legend, or the beginning to the end. The Taurus. Taurus we talked about earlier in the show about how it's a sacrifice ritual. And the sacrifice ritual is part of the A to Z legend. Talks about that if people wanted to become immortals, they had to do the sacrifice properly. And that's how you could live forever. That's kind of fucked up shit, but... Alright, Orion's Belt. Orion's Belt is the three kings, where the seven sisters or Alpha to Omega connects. So, yeah, when you take those... oh, yeah, that's where Betelgeuse is. The arms are above the belt. That slide we showed earlier. It's kind of neat how all this stuff actually connects to each other. It's like Da Vinci talks about how all things connect. And once you start to see how all things connect, is when you're on the right track. Or you're just going fucking crazy. Just kidding. Alright, Sirius, that's what we were talking about. If anyone's wondering why the, the Anubis legends are common all around the world, even in South America, it's because they were talking about the Canis part, the dog star, and how the dog star is one of those universal black dogs that took people to the afterlife and guided them. He's known as Xotl in Aztec, and Anubis in Egyptian. Fuck, can't even remember Egyptian. Now what I really lack is I got a whole bunch of other ones here that I don't even know anything about. So I can tell that my knowledge about this is really just scratching the surface, because I only know about maybe 30%, if that. So I still not even at the halfway point yet. But as you can tell, I got a little bit of the knowledge. We got Polaris down, the Ursa Minors. I don't know about Vega yet. Pleiades I know about, Orion's Belt, Sirius. The Southern Cross. We'll have to check more into that Southern Cross. That one sounds pretty good too. Yeah, I'm glad we got some viewers in for questions in the chat. Appreciate that. I don't think I would have gotten to any of these topics unless we got some pretty good questions there. No, a lot of the stuff that I'm doing about these ancient maps, we start getting to like the oldest maps in the world, some of the Portuguese maps, some of the... I think we even got into a Sumerian map at one point. I can't remember that. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm starting to get really into collecting all the oldest maps in the world I can find. I actually got the Piri Reis book collection, and I've got Piri Reis's map as like a huge poster on my wall that came with the book. It's actually from the Turkey Museum that stores all of his maps. So they put together like an authentic recreation of his book, so it looks like the original book. It's just like created as close as they could get in like a proximity or whatever you call it. So yeah, I'm kind of interested to finish reading Piri Reis's book. I'm probably going to start doing podcasts for it. That's what I figure. One day I'm going to start doing like a weekly podcast where I just sit down and I sit with Piri Reis's book and I let people ask questions about the book and I try to answer them with the book. So... because a lot of people, they've heard of Piri Reis's maps and all these ancient maps, but they haven't actually seen the original book that it's all from. So yeah, that's probably what we'll do a bit. Alright, so we got the portal on charts. Let's go with... oh fuck, I better put this on another screen. I don't want my old search history coming up. I swear I don't know how all the big boob searches got in there. All right, let's try portal on charts we checked. Oh yeah, Great Circle Maps. Great Circle Map Wiki. I think this might be the one. Yeah, so this is just some of the formulas. You can see how we're starting to get those weird triangle shapes that we'd seen before on my map. And you start getting those when you're working on Great Circle maps. Portal on maps we already checked out. Rum lines we already checked out. Windrose Network. Holy fuck, I don't even think I've seen this one yet. Yeah, I love these fucking ancient map designs. See how it comes into like that weird pattern in the center? That's where my map failed. I'm supposed to get these. I was supposed to get these weird parts where it like makes a star and it spins around a giant one, but I fucked it up. So whoever is able to draw these maps better than me, I bet you any money when you draw the pattern, it'll come out with this instead of getting those weird bends. Because I always tried to make them end up like this on each one, not realizing that occasionally you're supposed to end up with one like that, instead of trying to bend them all to be like that. Ah, see here it talks about there was also distortion due to the curvature of the Earth's surface. The images of Petrus Visconti, the parallel rule. Holy fuck, look at this map. That's a good one, eh? Oh man, so close. You see this point here? I actually have that point, except on my map, it's right here. And it demonstrates why the Bay of Biscay is there, if anyone wants to see. Yeah, this is a good one. I like this one. It's not bad at all. So one of these lines would have to connect to South America, coming out of there. Yeah, if anyone wants to help out and be the first like for the show, I appreciate it. I know it's kind of a weird topic. Not everyone's into liking it, but... Fucking hell, man. They all seem to have the same prediction. They think the gravity well point is there. And I have it here. So I guess my map is just slightly off. I should have the point there. I don't know. What I'll probably do is when I redraw the ancient map, I bet you the ancient map is the one that'll map and connect to it there. Bet you that's what it is. Sometimes I got to remember, just because I got it wrong doesn't mean because there's a problem between the two. It's probably because I fucked it up. Oh yeah, this is a pretty good one too. Where did they got the Bay of Biscay on this one? Yeah, it looks like more close to where my point is. Is this one showing Africa? Yeah, it does too. They never had the Africa point though. They didn't realize there was one right in the center there, right? Unless that's that one. You gotta hand it to these guys though. Can you imagine trying to draw these Great Circle maps and not having Google? Like he's doing this on a flat piece of paper, eh? That's what I was thinking. Like when you draw it on a flat piece of paper and when I was talking about it, this is what you'd be dealing with instead. So I was like, holy fuck, man, that's a little bit more complex. Yeah, like how fucking fortunate am I that I had Google and didn't have to deal with drawing this. Whew. Man, that would have been brutal. Yeah, it's neat how they have that giant circle off the tip there. Huh. I wonder if this map has something to do like these circles with the actual spin of the planet. Maybe that's what it could be, right? You know how we have like a tilt and everything rotates and shit? So who knows? Maybe this version is actually showing more information than the Google one ever can. And here I am making fun of the Google version, or this version comparison. Meanwhile, this one actually is superior. Who knows? All right, first leg. Thanks, man. Oh yeah, the dish shape. I remember that dish shape theory. It kind of reminds me of how like the, what is it, the South Pole is actually just a giant sheet or a giant ice wall. So people talk about it actually could be like a dish around the whole globe, and there's a fucking giant ice wall keeping everything in. Now, for me, I'm one of those people that is so open-minded. I even think or entertain the holographic universe ideas. So when people think that entertaining ideas of different planetary theories is wild, I even have theories about what the whole universe could be different. So it's not really my theories. I just like to entertain some of them. Now, I'd like to get some not only electric universe, but get some more holographic universe theory people on the show. So we'll talk to maybe Jim Elvidge, talk about his book, The Universe Solved. It's very good. All right, well, guess we'll look more into Portalon charts. I think we did that already, though. Compass roses. Yeah, we checked that already. Magnetic declination. Huh. Yeah, here's the ancient Portalon charts. Yeah, I'll have to finish the ancient one and then get it of Europe and then compare it to how it looks on this one. Yeah, man, they must have had such a rough go of this because they're dealing with just a flat part and then trying to add in all these spheres to it. Yeah, what a challenge, eh? It's always throughout history we've been trying to connect spheres to flat planes over and over again. Can never quite get it. There's the Bay of Biscay. Yeah, that's closer to where mine is. My point's right about there, and there's there. So that was pretty close. That's what I figured. Each one of these ancient Portalon charts is slightly off from the next one. So that's what I was thinking. Even if mine is slightly off from where it is, it's not that big of a deal breaker. Because, man, you could just keep looking and find another map that's even closer. There's always slight differences. That's what I was thinking. Maybe like in the future, Google will make an official version, like a layer, that is the ancient style maps. So it isn't even my map. It's like one they officially endorsed. That'd be my ultimate goal. If one day Google is like, hey, instead of just making traditional maps, we'll put the old fucking Portalon charts or rum lines or whatever you want to fucking call them. Because yeah, if they made an old version like this, so you didn't even have to use mine, we could just boot theirs. Oh man, that'd be like a dream come true. But the only thing that would be bad for that, like I said, once we start getting these layers and starting to understand the weather and gravity, earthquakes, even what's driving evolution of species and viruses, it's almost like cracking open Pandora's box. So maybe there's a reason why we stopped using all these old map styles. Is that our society in general had to take a turn away from it because it was too much of the pagan knowledge and stuff. The stuff that was forbidden. Because that's what they say, like who knows, maybe one society grew up on another planet and they stayed with the pagan stuff. Then they eventually developed technology where they destroyed their planet. So like in order for our planet to actually survive, we had to stop doing the pagan stuff. Stay away from the gravity well, stay away from the very foundation of how the universe works. So we could develop all the stuff like electricity and gas and all that other shit without even getting influenced by the gravity wells. Because we can see if a society goes down the route of the gravity wells instead, that's when they start building the pyramids. That's when they start doing the stone megaliths and all that shit. If they go down the other route and say, no pagan stuff, no gravity wells, we're just going to go with other technology, that's when we start getting our types of technology. We said no to the pagan knowledge, and we came up with all this instead. But that'll be the ultimate, eh? Maybe in the future we can combine the pagan knowledge with it so that we will have the best of both. I don't know. That'd be pretty cool. Might be asking too much. Holy fuck, man. He's good one at making them, eh? Yeah, I bet you if I was alive in the olden days, this is probably the route I would have went. I would have been one of these guys who was trying to draw the map onto a fucking flat sheet of paper. Always getting it slightly wrong. Close enough that it always kept some people interested, but never proven right. Yeah, I always wondered about these wheels on the map and what all these extra lines and shit were. It's kind of neat to see, like, how it connects to all that star knowledge and shit, right? I should have guessed that they were more complex than just a little star. It means more than east, south, west, and north. Yeah, so I guess what are we going to keep doing for the next year? What I'm going to do is every time the gravity well map has like a big update, like we either get a new planet or we get a new sun or something. I was thinking what I'll do too is we'll follow the weather if there's any big hurricanes. I was going to do shows on the hurricanes this year. I never got around to it because I was really busy with just regular work. But yeah, hopefully. So I won't just cover hurricanes. We'll cover, we'll try to get to some more earthquake shows too. So whenever we get the big earthquakes where they keep showing up on the lines, we'll check those out. Yeah, and if anyone's got any ideas, like they want to see the ley lines closer to where they live, or if someone's a Google expert and they want to show off how much progress they did making their own version of the map, fuck man, that'd be sweet. I'd be happy to share it. And if I could get a copy. No, and if anyone else has ideas about how we should alter the maps, either the modern version or the ancient version, I'll definitely consider all the ideas. Because really at this point, a lot of the stuff I have on all these maps, like each one of them came from different people's work that was helping me. Like Julie Ryder helped me a whole ton. Perry Reese and all his work. All the other ancient map makers. Oh yeah, and then what was it? The Revelations of the Pyramid video. If anyone hasn't seen that, fucking mind-blowing. That actually helped my research a shitload as well. So whoever helped make that documentary. Sorry I was only able to buy a used copy. I wanted to buy a new copy to support the work, but couldn't find any new ones for sale still. Oh yeah, we did get some breakthroughs too about the different areas in Australia. Fuck man, I was just thinking there was something else that came up and I forgot to show it. There's like is it volcanoes? I'm trying to remember what the fuck it was. Well anyways, one of the spots that I've been looking at on these lines, I was wondering if there was going to be any like volcano things, or there was one that connected to it. I'll try to maybe get it ready for next episode. Can't remember where the fuck it is on the map and what it's called. But yeah, there were some really good ones. It was like a series of 3 of them. And there was like 3 that all connected on the lines. It was pretty good. So we'll have to try to cover that next time. Oh yeah, and then one of the other things I was thinking too is I was checking about Tasmania on different like mountains and hiking tours and stuff. Dear God, is there some nice places in Tasmania? Can't remember which one it was. Could be the south. But anyways, there's a part of Tasmania. God, do I ever want to visit it. What a nice place. So I guess I'll have to look up what's the downsides of Tasmania so that I'm ready for what sort of trials and tribulations I'll face. But yeah, if anyone's wondering where I plan to do vlogging in the future, is one day I'm going to be traveling to Tasmania and seeing one of the national parks they got. I'll have to remember which one it's called, but man, they got well, they probably have a whole bunch, but yeah, they have one that I saw that was really nice. Oh yeah, and if anyone's wondering what my plans are, like my uncle, and if I'm going to be vlogging this year, or if I'm just going to be staying in doing more work on the channel, we really don't know what's happening with my uncle. We might pick him up tomorrow, we might not. So I might be back to doing full-time care, or he might be staying in the hospital. So we're going to have to find out. I'll let everyone know as soon as I find out. Because yeah, man, if I'm done looking after my uncle and the world situation gets back to normal for travel-wise, then we could start doing some travel vlogging. If I had to guess, in 2022, my uncle's situation's going to resolve, and the problem will be the lockdowns, so we'll probably have to wait till 2023. But in the meantime, I'll just try to do more travel vlogs of where I actually live and get practice making them. So I don't even have to worry about traveling really far and fucking up the video. At least maybe 2022 will be a year for my YouTube channel where I can actually get more videos done locally. And yeah, not to worry, I'll do some more work on the computer then too. We'll do more Gravity Well shows. If anyone wants to be a guest to come on, just remember, let me know. I'll give you the Discord link. And then once you join the Discord page, it has a chat channel. And you can join either with just chat or video or audio and video. So yeah, you can do that with Discord. But I figure for today, I think we did enough. We did an hour and a half long. And they say for the algorithm, you're supposed to make videos. Woo, look at that section. You're supposed to make videos only, 59 minutes long. They said people don't like hour long, but they love almost an hour long. So in the future, we'll try to get more 59-minute videos made. I guess today we went over by quite a bit, but sorry, I get carried away. And it was a whole lot to cover this year. I don't even think we covered everything. Here I thought it was nothing. Yeah, that's right. Oh, Steadfast, you're saying so esoteric. Thanks. Tasmania is part of the island prison country. Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. There's probably a wild history of Tasmania. Something to do with the prison system. But fuck, man, the mountains and parks that they have here, it looked like some of the nicest places I've ever seen in the world. So that's what I was thinking. One day I'll be traveling to Tasmania. I think they have some gold mines here. I could be wrong about that too, but maybe we'll stop by and check those out. Now, it's pretty ambitious because I've never even flown over an ocean yet, so, well, who knows? That's what happens in life. Sometimes you go through long phases of doing not much, and next thing you know, you're doing some exciting shit. So I just got to try to remember that. It's only a matter of time before things change and I'm at a whole new pace and adventure. Yeah, so I hope everyone else has a good new year. And good luck with your research, whatever projects you're working on. Yeah, and try to remember, it's like, as much as it seems like everything's been there, everyone's done that, you'd be surprised if you start working on your own projects. You never know what you could stumble across. Because I think there is still a fair bit of mysteries involved on our planet today, and we're really just starting to crack the surface. So as much as it seems like everyone's been there, done that, there's a lot of exciting stuff out there for people still to discover. Ooh, fuck, man. Look how all the volcanoes get hit by that part of the gravity well, right? That's what always reminds me, too, if anyone's talking earthquakes. This section here, the way the blue things hit it, and how many earthquakes, how many volcanoes. Holy fuck. That's the one thing about Puerto Rico, I guess. Despite how beautiful it is, they got a hell of a history of volcanoes and earthquakes, right? Jesus. Man, oh man. Every rose has its thorn, right? Wow. Yeah, and we'll keep an eye out for the earthquakes. There's supposed to be one in Portland. I think we only covered the Romania, Portland, the, what is that one? The Real Madrid, or no, not Real Madrid, the New Madrid. I guess there could be a California one, but I haven't looked into that one very much. Oh yeah, in Alaska. Probably going to get another big one in Alaska. Probably one near Japan. You got to think if the Chinese earthquake is starting to go active, maybe we'll see one close to Japan. Hope not with the nuclear situation, but yeah, this region's always getting earthquakes, but it seems like they're the most prepared, right? They've had earthquakes for so long that when they get huge ones, it's no big deal for them. They got their shit together already. New Zealand, I worry about a little. I got a few friends that live there, and fuck, man, is that ever a nice place to visit as well? Hopefully one day. You know what I don't get? Doesn't it seem so weird that New Zealand's like so tropical all the time? Meanwhile, they're so close, like in relative speaking, compared to everywhere else, is how close they are to the fucking freezing cold Arctic. It's like, oh, we'll just be right next to it and be fucking tropical. Oh well, however the hell that works. Or maybe New Zealand isn't as nice as it seems, but dear God, I haven't seen too many pictures of fucking winter in New Zealand. Oh well, lucky bastards. Alright, let's see. Let's go to... Yeah, I guess let's go with the sponsor message. Why not?
Hey, if you happen to get any volcanoes in your vaporizer and it tastes like shit, you can show it this like, but this is the total wrong message. Alright, let's get back to the affiliate links.
Alright, Suki, Dan, Jim, Ray, Travis, and everyone at Patreon, thanks a million. The affiliate links. Alright, Society 6, finishing quick is my specialty. It's a saying comes on t-shirts, bed sheets, both popular with the ladies. Ido TV, pays you to watch videos, Swagbucks will pay you to shop, GameKit to try games, and free Bitcoin. It's a wallet system for crypto. If you want to get into crypto, you don't have any money to deposit like me, you can try out free Bitcoin. They give out tiny little bits of crypto in loot boxes that you can open every few minutes. And yeah, once you collected some of that, put it in your wallet, it starts building up to like an even bigger tiny amount of crypto. So you can start gambling it, betting it, but I don't recommend that. You can also do referrals and try to build up more crypto that way. Oh yeah, and then they have interest that pays out on it too. That's what I was thinking. I should really put some money into that because my interest sucks right now. Anyways. So yeah, make sure you follow your regional laws, including for the virtual made sex machine. It's for adults and men only. But if ladies need a sex machine, they know who to call. No, I might actually get out more these days, hopefully. Anyways, $10 off. This might be the year of finally getting out of the house. $10 off on a purchase of 150 or more with coupon code LYNBS. That's LYNBSN. It's not a fake coupon code. It is legit, and I get a little cutback. So big shout out to the people at Virtual Mate. Oh yeah, make sure to check out my website. I'm going to try to do some maybe updates for that today or this week. All right, let's get back to the... I guess let's get back to the map. I don't know what it is. I always get the sponsor messages mixed up when I'm doing different episodes. Maybe the one isn't just not destined for today. Yeah, that's the other thing I was going to say. I was wondering if we could prove that the gravity well research would correlate to show that major volcanoes are in similar locations on Earth and on Mars. So I was going to say is we got this triangle here. Let's take off the blue. See this triangle here and how it connects out here to where Hawaii is, arguably one of the largest active volcanoes. I could be wrong about that, but it's a big one. And let's go to the Mars, see what we got. Google Mars, no. Ah, here it is, Mars topography. Finally, found it in reasonable time. Yeah, so if you look out, what is it? Hawaii's here, and Mars's biggest volcano, Olympus, is here. So essentially on the same line. So there is a little distance between the two, but arguably with how big the planet is, having them that close is actually pretty damn close. So someone could argue, yes, maybe it does indicate that the biggest volcanoes that you'll find in one equatorial region of a planet and another will be similar. So that'd be kind of weird. Like maybe in the future we'll go and find another Earth, like Earth 2, and we'll look in this general direction and we'll find it has a giant volcano in this general area as well. It'll be pretty wild. And then we'll know we have to do sacrifices on this one. No, I'm just kidding. All right, I'll try not to get too much into the sacrifice stuff. That's really gross. All right, let's go to, I think we covered everything else. Did we? Oh yeah, let's give a shout out to all the viewers in the chat. So today we had Steadfast, Loveface, or Naked HD, Aluno, Micmac. Yeah, that's a cool name. And Loveface, and Steadfast, and Rusty Valor. Yeah, Rusty Valor's back. Yeah, if anyone's wondering why I use the plastic bottle for my vaporizer, I guess I should clarify. When I first developed this vaporizer attachment, I wanted it super clean, super pure, and as much glass and metal as possible. No plastic. And then I hooked it up to like a giant glass bong, and I used it for a glass bong for like a year. And then I just got sick cleaning the glass bong every time because it would just build up with like horrible residue inside. And it took forever to clean it out. Like the vapor that this stuff makes, like the vaporizer, it's actually stickier than any other vapor or resin. So if you ever cleaned bong resin before, you know how it's pretty sticky. If you take this resin, it's like 10 times stickier. So you can imagine like gasoline is like one of the only things that can clean it out. Like even if you try pure alcohol, has no effect on it. If you try heating it up, no, well, I guess heating it up does a little, but it's soaked in it. But anyways, yeah, so instead of going and cleaning all the time, I just switched to using disposable bottles. So I use like a Gatorade bottle, but it's a glass stem. So it is still actually glass for everything that heats up. And then it goes into a Gatorade bottle, and once the Gatorade bottle gets too gunked up, I just throw it out, make a new one. So that way I don't have to keep cleaning out a bong each time. So yeah, that's why I use the plastic bottle. And because it's way lighter, and it's convenient too. And I think it works better for shows that I have to censor stuff. I could make it look like I'm drinking and it's just a bottle. Yeah, don't try the sponsor, it'll F you up. Yeah, that's what it is. Forgot my own sponsor message. Yeah, you do have to be careful with weed, because weed is definitely super addictive and you can get dependent on it, and it can get very expensive depending where you live, if you're allowed to grow it or not. No, and even if you live in Canada and you are allowed to grow it, eventually it gets to the point where you get so much of it for free that it is too much. So yeah, I guess like everything in life, you gotta try to follow some moderation. I'm gonna have to work on that more. I think February I might try to quit the weed again for at least 1 month. Get a head start. Yeah, don't worry, Rusty. You will never believe. I should show people my resin collection. Before weed was legalized in Canada, I used to smoke a lot of weed with my friends. And then every time they left, I would have no weed. So I would clean out the inside of the bongs and the pipes they used to collect all the resins. And one day I started collecting the resins from one bong, and I collected a giant resin ball. I don't know, it's like about the size of a golf ball, and it's just all resin that I collected out of the inside of pipes and bongs. I was always saving it for when I ran out of weed, but luckily Canada legalized weed, so I never even had to smoke it. No, it's weird. Back when I had less weed, I actually got a better buzz. Because if once weed's legal and you just smoke it like crazy, you smoke so much of it that you just raise your tolerance to the point where you don't even get a buzz anymore. Sort of like an alcoholic who can't get drunk anymore. It kind of sucks. Yeah, and if anyone's in Canada, you can always come by and smoke some weed with me, I guess. Well, unless we got the lockdown situations. I can send you home with some of my homegrown. I think we're allowed to give away at least an ounce, but you're not allowed to give away more than an ounce. Now this year I'm going to try growing some CBD weed, so if anyone wants to try CBD weed too, try to get some more of that. Oh yeah, so let's give a shout out to everyone. Steadfast, Rusty Valor, big round of applause. Now I think it's not so much that weed's addictive, but it can form habits. And then it's those habits that are addictive, right? Like when you start smoking so much weed, eventually you get into a habit where you like to play video games. And you'd be surprised, once you stop smoking weed, you're like, oh shit, now I don't feel as addicted to playing video games anymore. I don't know what it is. And sometimes those habits aren't always bad. Like you look at Michael Phelps. He developed the habit of wanting to swim and train all the time when he smoked weed. And it kind of worked out for him in the long run. But not everyone's going to be the next Michael Phelps, right? So you just got to be careful the habits that you develop when you're smoking weed, that they're not all self-destructive. If you can work it in so you're getting some productive habits mixed in with it. Hear no evil, speak no evil, see no evil. Yeah, my friends were into that at one point. Alright, so yeah, I guess we'll wrap up the Gravity Well show, and thanks everyone. And if anyone wants to see another Gravity Well show soon, just put it in the chat in the videos. Usually once I get a few people saying, hey, do a new episode about it, then I'll be like, alright, time for a new one. Because a lot of times it is a little repetitive, because some of this information, I guess I've been working on for quite a few years now. So, yeah. Alright, so anyways, Happy New Year everyone, and good luck with all your projects. Let's see. Let's go to the fire screen. Yeah, here's the proper ending. If you happen to get any gravity well waves in your vaporizer, tastes like shit, give the show a dislike. But if it doesn't happen, you can give the show a like and a share. Really appreciate it. Just make sure never buy the products from my sponsor.
Because it will ruin your life.
Bye for now, everyone. And if anyone's wondering what the sponsor is, just check out my video game episodes. It's only a joke sponsor. But anyways, see you later. Bye for now, everyone. Later. Holy shit, we made it to 3 likes. Thanks, everyone. I think that might be a new record for Gravity Well shows. Oh, thanks, Steadfast. Appreciate that. Sometimes I feel like I'm just rambling. Alright, see ya later.